All right, welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors. Thank you so much for watching, because this is the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, our beautiful country, and how we're going to fix both of those things together. Guys, what I'm about to show you is a hodgepodge of greatness, concern, RINOs, Pam Bondi, Steve Dettelbach, Trump, Biden, and the ATF's ultimate demise at the lament of the gun controllers. This is going to be an episode you're going to want to watch the whole thing. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about this one in the comments field, because whoa. All right, so as you guys filter in here, we have got audio, we have got video, we are good to go. You guys were here on time. Let's jump right in, because we have got to talk about the New York Times sending up a big old red flag about the ATF and how they're heading for a Trump spanking at the hands of our whims, to be quite candid. Because we've got a lot of correcting to do in the past 4 years. Lots of things have been happening, but let me walk you through this. So like I said, guys, if you're just now getting in here, let me show you what the New York Times is openly lamenting, because they know what's coming, even the ATF director. Check this out. ATF braces for a likely rollback of gun control efforts. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming pretty hard and fast. Again, Trump is coming in a second. Biden's going to be here. Pam Bondi, the RINO portion of this. Steve Dettelbach. Guys, I'm telling you, we even know who they're looking at for the ATF director spot. Check this out. President-elect Donald J. Trump is almost certain to choose a gun rights advocate as director of the ATF, or simply leave the job vacant. I personally would prefer a gun rights advocate rather than leaving it vacant. Vacant leaves so many possibilities. That's boring. Let's get a gun rights advocate in there. When I show you the people they're considering behind closed doors and released on the condition of anonymity, you're going to like a couple of them, because a couple of them really put us in a good place. Now, I'll be candid with you guys right now. They don't say the words Brandon Herrera in this article anywhere, so don't want to throw a wet blanket on your parade yet. But let's get going and let me show you what they are so worried about. I got so much stuff highlighted. We're going to dive into this. Let's get it. Many federal agencies are bracing for the Trump era, but few are likely to face the powerful backlash that awaits the ATF, which pursued an aggressive gun control agenda under President Biden. No, they didn't. They wouldn't. Yep, they did. And yep, there's a backlash coming. This guy right here, since you and I dealt with this for 4 years under the boot of the ATF and Steve Dettelbach and the basic executive bureaucratic overreach right around Congress because they couldn't get laws passed, yeah, there's a backlash coming, all right. We're going to be pushing every single opportunity that we have to get every single rule that Dettelbach made ripped out by the root. Now, don't get me wrong, the RINO is going to get in the way too. I'm going to show you that in a second. But we're pushing pretty hard because there's a backlash coming, all right. People have died, homes have been invaded. Yeah, there's a few things that we're going to have to curtail. Anyway, let's keep going. The ATF, under its Biden-appointed director, Stephen Dettelbach, has been more proactive on gun control than any other time in recent history. Now, I can vouch for that. It has pushed through rules to curb the proliferation of untraceable homemade firearms, known as ghost guns. By the way, the Supreme Court took it up. That's how unconstitutional it was. But let's not get facts in the way. It has pushed through some rules to curb the proliferation. I just said that, sorry. Clamp down on devices that make firearms deadlier. Firearms make deadlier. Would that be bump stocks, or what would that be? Or would that be SBRs? Or would that be short barrel rifles? Or would that be, I don't know, pistol braces? They don't really elaborate, all of which were smoked, by the way. Let's continue. Devices that make firearms deadlier and regulated unlicensed firearm sellers who operate at gun shows or online. And just so you guys are keeping track and record at home, that is from our dear friend John Cornyn, the Republican who did not get the Senate Majority Leader in the Republicans this year. Yeah, that was him, along with Tom Tillis. And Joni Ernst, by the way, she made an appearance. All the Republicans that signed on to the gun control, basically it's called the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, that's what they're talking about right there. Gun shows are online, who's a dealer, the definition of a dealer, yeah. ATF went to town with that. Let's continue though, and then we get to the good stuff. He is almost certain to pick a proponent of gun rights as director or simply leave the job vacant, as previous presidents have done, leaving the small and embattled bureau rudderless and vulnerable. All right, I'll take that. Rudderless and vulnerable. And you know why I'll take that? And here's something that I'm just going to kind of be extremely candid with you guys on. The left, the gun controllers, will come out and say, you don't want any type of law enforcement. You don't want any type of consequences or penalties for those that break the law. No, that's not where my beef comes. My beef comes as the executive branch through the Biden White House overplayed their hand and weaponized the ATF against gun rights and gun owners. The entire population of the United States felt the impact of these people. Whether they knew it or they didn't, they directly and deliberately utilized the executive branch, ATF, and put pressure on everyday Americans for their constitutional rights. That's why. Has nothing to do with anything else. Rudderless and vulnerable? Yeah, maybe they need a backhand and a little bit less money like we already started doing because they're kind of rogue. Anyway, let's continue. Let me hear you in the comments on that one. But the biggest threat, in the view of Mr. Dettelbach, the current ATF director, may come from the Republican-controlled Congress, which is threatening to cut the budget for the federal agency. Good. Let's go ahead and cut it some more. Because if you guys are not familiar and you're just now joining the Rights Freedom Party, the ATF is constantly being viewed as a victim from the left, from the gun controllers. They just don't have enough. They're just mean and picked on. They have boxes and boxes of paperwork because they're just not funded by congressional Republicans. Yeah, they only get a few $1 billion a year. That's the whole point here. They always try to play this game. But anyway, let's keep going. I hope they do cut it. But I've got some more stuff right down here. The ATF faces a deeply uncertain future, and there is little doubt that difficult times lie ahead, perhaps in the form of even deeper funding cuts aimed at punishing the agency for the flurry of regulatory actions he undertook. Talking about Steve Dettelbach. Well, when you weaponize a federal government branch or agency, that's what happens. Even before the election, congressional Republicans already succeeded in cutting the Bureau's budget. Now, this is something we covered, and this is something we drove really hard on. Let me show you some of these numbers. They inserted a $47 million cut to its modest $1.6 billion. Spare me the you want to defund the ATF crap. Come on, $47 million out of $1.6 billion? Get out of here. But anyway, so this is a big thing that they are always going down the road on the left. The ATF is so underfunded and it is so picked on, and it's such a redheaded stepchild, and it just needs love. $1.6 billion annually. What could you guys do with a salary of $1.6 billion? Anyway, I digress. The whole point is they're trying to say that Congress is these big meanies and the Republicans are these big meanies. But the bottom line is Congress has the control of the purse to reel in when agencies have gone rogue and the executive branch has abused its power through the executive agencies. That's what they're doing. And they're saying that Congress is big meanie pants. These lefties, man, I swear. All right, let's keep going. We got even more stuff. It just gets better and better because the RINOs, they're a coming. Watch this. This is another piece of evidence why Pam Bondi is questionable at best. Quote, under a Trump administration, all of those Biden disasters get ripped up and torn up during my first week. But maybe my first day in office, Mr. Trump told a gathering of gun rights activists during his campaign. And then this is where it gets a real not great. Because right here, they say a little word, and I'm going to highlight it for you guys on top of the already highlighted stuff. Leave it there for a second. Quote, this is from a gun-controlling attorney general in Minnesota. We're going from having a real partnership with somebody like Steve Dettelbach, who is accessible and believes in safe communities, to a situation where the new director in all likelihood isn't as concerned about the ravages of gun violence, said Keith Ellison, the Democratic Attorney General of Minnesota. Now, here's the interesting part. Accessible. Why would an attorney general of Minnesota say the ATF director needs to be accessible? Isn't it interesting that every town for gun safety, Giffords.org, and they all have their fingers in the pie in the ATF, and now they're saying openly he was very accessible? Who do you think was running all these gun control pushes that they were pushing through the executive rulemaking process? Got a hint for you. It's not Steve Dettelbach. It was the Democratic gun-controlling elitist. That's who it was. And now they aren't going to have that access, as they say, and they're lamenting the entire thing. Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House? Yeah, that's run by an Every Town for Gun Safety staffer. I can't imagine where all this works. An ATF's their executive branch. Guys, when you pull back the rock and you see all the cockroaches, it's not pretty. Let's keep going, though. This part is where the RINOs come out. This is another reason that I'm real concerned about Pam Bondi. Listen to this, because she's trying to swoop in, at least according to sources, and save the ATF. One other person who seems to have privately voiced some of those concerns is Pam Bondi, who worked with the ATF as Florida's Attorney General, has expressed a preference for a relatively non-ideological replacement for Mr. Dettelbach to fulfill the campaign's law and order promises, according to two people familiar with the situation who spoke on condition of anonymity. If you've got the nominee for Attorney General who is responsible to dictate what happens in the ATF director role, saying that we should have a non-ideological person go in there, and they've already had all this gun control, and she has a history of red flag law exposure, I'm not feeling real great about Pam Bondi if she's saying that we need someone who's not going to right the wrongs of the previous 4 years and make someone non-ideological. This is the New York Times. That would be a problem for us. That would be a problem for me. If this is her stance, I'm having a real hard time throwing my weight behind that one. Because if she's not even going to go in and say all the unconstitutional things were unconstitutional and pull them out, and she's openly saying, let's not get crazy with the ATF, yeah, no, you ain't the right choice, boo. Anyway, that's my thought. Let's continue. Here's some other choices they are floating. I think this is a very important part to say. Pam Gumby. No. Yeah, well, kind of. She's bendy, I guess, ideologically. Blake Masters, a far-right conservative in Arizona. That would be a unique, interesting choice. That would be a loyalty pick. Can't really speak to that. He was good on gun rights in the Senate race he ran, but meh. Peter J. Furcelli, a former bureau official who wrote the book on Fast and Furious scandal. Okay, that sounds pretty like he would be upset about it. And Larry Keane, the head of the Gun Manufacturers Trade Association. That's NSSF. Okay, so this is the important thing that I want you guys to know. If you're still in here, this is kind of the inside baseball in the NSSF. Larry Keane. He's the SVP. He's involved in all the lawsuits. He's involved in a lot of things. He's been on this show before. But the thing that you don't necessarily know about Larry Keane, he's the guy that wrote the PLCAA, the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. He actually wrote that, and it passed into law. That is the actual law that prevents all the gun controllers from suing companies out of existence. That right there, that's the guy who wrote it. The thorn in the side to all gun controllers now is being considered from the NSSF, which has a direct orientation towards all the gun sellers and gun organizations. I'm not upset. I'm just saying that has some potential. But as we look at this and we end this out, I don't think there's anything else yet. I really want to wrap this up by saying this one more part right here. The Pam Bondi thing, guys, you see it right there. It's highlighted. This is the concern for me. Honestly, I'm going to get into your chats here in a second. If Pam Bondi is coming in as the Attorney General pick from Trump, and she's from Florida, and she accepted and passed the 18 to 19, 20-year-old bans on buying firearms, and she endorsed red flag laws and passed that law, and she's coming in now and she's saying maybe for the ATF choice, we shouldn't do anyone too ideologically pure, like a Second Amendment advocate, when you have both houses, or both chambers, the House and the Senate and the White House. This might not be the right pick. I will go on record right now and say that might not be the right move. Anyway, that's what I thought. Let me get out of here. Bondi must go. Get rid of her. I'm not going to say you guys aren't wrong. I think Trump will do the job, but we can call and fight. Yep, and we'll have more of that, especially as we go into the new year coming in, because right now is the Christmas time. The nomination process has not even been official yet. Hasn't even been started yet. We will have a lot more energy on that, so make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. But as we go through the rest of this process and we start January 1, January 2, January 3, that's when it gets real. That's when the pedal goes to the metal. But from everything that we're seeing right now, I'm very concerned about Pam Bondi from a 2A rights stance perspective. I will just openly say it. Anyway, that's that. So let me jump into here real quick. I don't trust Bondi. My gut tells me she's another, basically, RINO. Ellison runs Minnesota. I trust no one. That's not a bad way to look at it, as long as you don't let it get in the way of your own life. Get red flag law, Pam Bondi out. Yeah, it seems like Pam Bondi has gone into the mainstream here from a standpoint of, Pam red flag Bondi is unfit for duty. Guys, I think we're over the target on that one. I think we're in complete agreement. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys right now. I will see you on the next one. I'll see you tomorrow. We got so much I've already got like 2 or 3 things to talk about with you guys tomorrow, and I will see you then.